So what I wanted to frame the class around today was right effort, and right effort is one of the eight arms of the Buddha's Noble Pathway. So we have right view, right intentions, right speech, right actions, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. So this idea of right effort being how we show up on our mat, noticing our tendencies to maybe push too hard, maybe not bring the effort that we need to a posture. And not just talking about sort of the maybe the obvious, like, oh, we're holding warrior two or we're holding goddess pose, but even in our postures where we're lengthening muscles, we're stretching. And so often I hear people say, and this I've experienced this myself. You know, I go into a stretch even, and I want to look successful or be successful. I'm not sure where how this fits for you, but I tend to go on the too much effort side. So there's a, I think if you read through the email that I sent, there's a story about a sitar or a lute player who's struggling with his practice of meditation, and he goes to his master and asks for some help. And the master says, well, how do you string your instrument? If you string it too tight, the strings will break. And if you string it too loose, you tune it too loose, then you'll have no sound. So this middle way, which is a tenet of Buddhism, and I think probably a tenet in other spiritual paths as well. This middle way is where we can land so that we have the sound, but we don't break things, right? Um, so this comes up for me quite often, and I generally draw from my own personal experiences to put together my classes. So I was just on a river trip with a friend. This is a gal I raced with years ago. We were very competitive as we trained together, and she's a really, really intense person, and I'm a less intense person than I used to be. So um, I just found myself getting pulled into this. I've got to effort more. I've got to effort more. I got to keep up with her. I've got to not have any pauses, and yet I know, because my life has taken me somewhere else, that pausing and resting and stopping are valuable to me, and they allow me to thrive. And we got back to the Western Slope, Grand Junction, Western Colorado, and she invited me to stay another night and ride in the Colorado Monument, which is really beautiful, has some steep climbing. And I was like really tired. I probably should have said no right then, because I was really tired from sleeping on Paco pads, little teeny pads, river pads, and not being in my own space and whatever. But I said yes because I needed to outclimb her the next day, of course. So we go out to ride the next day, and I feel terrible. Like I, I'm just tired. But um, I've always been a better climber than her. So off I go up this 4 mile first climb, and I'm just killing myself to get to the top first. And of course, she catches me at some point because I blow my sugar wad like right away. And there I am with this face to face reality of how I often will set myself up over effort and then have this rebounding effect of, um, well, it's not pleasant. We ended up riding the next day, and I did a better job of saying, I'm going to stay within my pace. I'm going to stay within what I call my joyride. So our practices, all of our practices, whether it's spending time with your kids, attending to things you need to do around the house, yoga, sitting meditation, prayer, your kindness practice, it all has to be in balance. And the right effort has to be applied. And too much effort, we break. And too little effort, we have no sound, we have no influence, um, we have no showing up in the world, right? So that's the practice today. We're going to look at it through the portal of asana practice. And I would invite you just to observe yourself in all of this. Observe yourself when things feel too easy. Observe yourself when we're in a pose that you don't like. Observe yourself when we're holding a posture. Observe yourself when things transition from what you like maybe to what you don't like. So when I started practicing asana, I never did shavasana. I was like, what a waste of time lying on the mat at the end. I would get up and leave class. So things like that. So just, this is a practice to gather attention and to get this greater understanding of not just our bodies and the way we function, but the subtler layers of ourselves, our energetic layer, our emotional layer. So we'll start on our backs, and we'll start by stopping, which that in and of itself can be a challenge for folks. But on your back, legs out long, arms to the side. So let your feet be as wide as the corners of your mat, or if you don't have a mat, just wider than your hips. And let your feet fall out to the side, arms comfortably out at about 45 degrees. And just let yourself really drop into the support of the earth. My teacher calls this first Shavasana. So we undo before we do. We empty before we fill. And then just 4 rounds of breath. Observing the inhale and the exhale. One of the ways we can achieve this balance in our physical shapes and postures is by matching breath with movement. So feel the rhythm of your breath first. And then bring your legs together, pull your toes back towards your shins. Put some energy into your legs, just enough, and interlace your hands above your chest, reaching your palms towards the ceiling. Take your arms behind you on the floor. Pressing through your hands, press through your feet. So you're stretching yourself like a piece of taffy. And then take both feet to the right corner of your mat. So here you should feel a sensation on the left hip. If it's not as much as you'd like, drape your left ankle over your right ankle, and then stretch your arms over to the right side as well. So are you making a C kind of shape with your body, left side body opening up. And here on these warm-ups, these ground exercises that we do a lot, See if you can make it as easy as possible, as effortless as possible. So you're applying effort, but not too much. Release, bring your left foot to the left corner of your mat. Right foot slides over next to the left foot, or you can drape your right ankle on your left ankle and slide your hands over to the left. Sometimes for me, when I let go of effort a little bit, it allows me actually to be more observant of what is happening in my body. Is this side tighter than the other? Coming back to center, both feet, pressing through both heels, pull your toes back towards your shins. Reach through your arms. And then release your arms to the side again and bend your knees, bringing the soles of your feet to the floor. Here, take your feet a little wider than your hips and simply inhale, drawing your pubic bone away from your navel. Exhale, draw your pubic bone back to your navel, rounding your back into the floor. So pelvic tilts, inhale, draw the pubic bone away from the navel, creating a little arch in your back. And exhale, rock your pubic bone back towards your navel, pressing your low back into the floor. And just feel into your pelvis this morning. Again, you don't need to make this harder than it is. See if you can find that balance of sort of effortless effort, matching breath with movement. And then your arms in the goalpost position, begin to allow your knees to move back and forth from side to side. Inhaling up to center and exhaling knees to the opposite side. So inhale, bring the knees up to center, and exhale over to the other side. Back and forth a few times, again, matching your breath with your movement. And the next time your knees fall over to the right, see if you can arch through your back, reach your left arm up and away, maybe take your gaze to your left hand. So you're pressing away from the floor, the outside of your right foot pressing into the floor, the inside of your left foot pressing into the floor, and pressing out against the long edge of your mat, giving you a little more lift underneath your left hip. And then inhale, come back to center, slide your left arm back down into the goalpost position. And then drop your knees to the left and slide your right arm long, pressing the outside of your left foot into the mat and pressing the inside of your right foot into the mat. Reaching back through the right hand, through the right arm, and maybe taking your gaze to the right hand. And then inhale back to center and just take that one more time in each direction. And coming back to center. Coming back to center now, take your hands to the top of your thighs, okay, and press your thighs into your hands and your hands back into your thighs. Now this is the sacroiliac resetting. Just make this about 30% effort. Can you really find 30% effort? Take your hands to the top of your shins, press your knees into your hands, pull back against your shins with your hands. Again, notice your tendency right away. Is it, oh, I'm going to do this as hard as possible? Or can you find that 30% or so effort? And then move back and forth a few times with this movement. And maybe the awareness becomes, which one of these positions feels better in my sacroiliac joint? So the low back area where the sacrum and the ilium meet. Which one feels better? Pushing against the knees or pressing the knees into the hands? And then take one hand to the front and one hand to the top of the shin. So you're doing the opposite action with each hand and each leg, and switch back and forth a few times. And again, notice your tendency. My tendency is I'm going to give it everything I got each time. And I have to remind myself that I'm working for effortless effort. Backing off each time, finding about 20 to 30% effort here. Then take your fists, make two fists, place them between your knees, press into your fists. And then take your hands to the outsides of your knees and press against your hands. And go back and forth with those two actions. Again, finding and having this greater awareness of which one of these actions feels a little better in my pelvic sacral area. Great little exercise to do every day. And then from here, we'll take a block and set it between the upper inner thighs. So I'm going to set it on the smallest setting, the most narrow setting, right between my thighs. And I'm going to squeeze the block, and I'm going to pull my toes back towards my shins. So I feel a deep engagement in my inner legs and probably my lower belly. Interlace my hands behind my head. Inhale here. Exhale, lift your head and shoulders and draw your navel up and in like you're stroking with a paintbrush. Inhale lowers you back down to the floor, and exhale, rise up again. Now here's where you can play with what's appropriate for you. Maybe you're going to do 6 of these, and maybe you're going to do 16 of these. Find the middle way that works for you in your body. So little yogi crunches. We squeeze the block. We draw the navel up and in. And we bring the shoulders and head off the floor. See if you can get the lower tip of your shoulder blade to come off the floor. Keep squeezing the block. And keep drawing the navel up and in. Notice your tendency. Can you find this happy middle way where you're giving this some effort, but you're not over-efforting? You're not hurting yourself. And a couple more, unless you've already decided you've had enough, which is fine. And I'm doing one more. And then come down to the floor, take the block away, stretch your legs long. Let the top of your legs, the hip flexors relax. Take your hands out to the side. Take one full breath here. Bending your knees again, take the soles of your feet to the floor. Release your left leg up towards the ceiling. The right leg is going to stay bent. And we're going to come to this action we did before with the opening of the leg, so Supta Pada Uttasana. And we're going to bring the leg out to the left, and we're going to take the opposite foot, the opposite leg, the right leg, and we're going to put the same angle on our legs. So my right knee is moving out to the right, and my left leg, which is straight and pointing up towards the ceiling, is moving out to the left. But instead of just letting my left leg flop down to the ground, I'm going to hold this position. And it might be that my legs are super close to one another, and it might be that my left leg is out a bit further. Right leg and left leg at same angle. Press into the right foot. Press the right foot into the floor. Feel the evenness of your pelvis here. So hopefully you don't have your right hip lifted up off the floor. And then inhale, coming back to center, cross your left leg across midline and bring your right knee underneath so that your legs are crossed here, and feel the evenness of your pelvis. Coming back to center, you can slowly lower your left leg to the floor and then bring the sole of your left foot to the floor. Now inhale the right leg up and the same thing. And this side might be different. So as you open your right leg out to the right, let your left leg move to the left at the same angle as your right leg. And if possible, right leg as straight as possible, but you might have a little bend in your knee as well. And then here we go. Keep that same angle on your legs. Feel the evenness of your pelvis. The evenness of your pelvis. And then you'll inhale the right leg straight up towards the ceiling, come across midline, and cross your left knee under. So the legs are, it looks like you're going to cross your legs. And we just feel the evenness of the pelvis. And coming back to center, you can slowly lower the right leg. And then let both legs come long. Let your feet fall out to the side. Relax here. Take an energizing breath. So a resetting. And then you can turn over to one side using your hands to press up, or you can take your ankles crossing at the ankles and rock yourself up to a seat. Take your legs over to the side and come to all fours. So in your tabletop position, take your hands a little forward of your shoulders and your knees underneath your hips. And here just begin to move through cat-cow. So on your inhale, the belly reaches towards the floor, the chest reaches between the arms, gazes up, spread the tail feathers, and on your exhale, press into your hands, round your back, and draw your tailbone down towards your feet. So not tucking so much, but down towards your feet. And move through cat-cow a few times at your own pace. This again, just a scanning of your spine. How does the spine feel at this time? And the next time that you press into your hands and round your back, take your hips back to your heels for child's pose. And then inhale, drop your forearms to the floor, slide your arms forward, your nose along your mat until you come all the way onto your belly. Bring your arms alongside your belly, your body, and rest your forehead or one cheek on the mat. And then bring your forehead to the mat, draw your shoulder tops up. So you tuck the shoulder blades in towards your spine and down. Reach your hands down towards your hips. Lift your arms off the floor. Press the tops of your feet into the floor. Lift your head and shoulders. So here we go. We're going to hold some of these little back bending poses. So you be in charge of your effort. Draw the pubic bone towards the navel. Draw the pubic bone towards the navel and press the pubic bone into the floor. And on your next exhale, slowly lower, taking one cheek or temple to the mat, maybe rocking your hips back and forth. And if you've rested on your cheek or temple, you can turn to the other side. And then come back to center, forehead to the floor. And you can keep your arms alongside your body, or you can bring your arms into the T position now. So with your forehead on the floor, bring the shoulder tops off the floor. Your elbows will come off the floor. Draw the shoulder blades down and in a bit. Press into your feet. Lift your head and shoulders. Keep pressing into your pubic bone and tilting, or it's the pelvic tilt we did on the floor. The pubic bone reaches towards the navel. So you have a lengthening in your low back. Good. And then from here, you can bring your arms alongside your body and then come down, resting one temple or one cheek to the mat, softly rocking back and forth through the hips if that feels nice to you. And then lifting your head and taking your head to the other side. Great. Come back to center, forehead to the floor, arms alongside your body in the T or out at 45 degrees. Draw the shoulder tops up and shoulder blades pack in towards the spine and down. Press into the tops of your feet. Lift your head and shoulders. A little bit harder. And here's where we get to play with, does this work in my body, or do I need to go back to here? Back to the arms alongside. Practicing in the bodies we have right now, today, not the ones we wish we had or we used to have. So drawing the pubic bone towards the navel, pressing the tops of the feet to the floor, and then bring your arms alongside your body and come down, resting one cheek or temple to the mat, softly rocking the hips back and forth. Coming back to center with your forehead to the floor. Take your attention to your legs now and spiral the inner seam of your leg up towards the ceiling. Spiral the inner seam of your leg up towards the ceiling. Good. And then lift the arms off your back, or off the floor rather, drawing your shoulder blades down and in. And then lift your head and shoulders, and then lift your legs. So you're in more of a full locust here. Keep the neck soft and long, pressing pubic bone into the floor and drawing your pubic bone towards your navel. Now you could play with your arm position here, coming to a T or 45 degrees, or all the way out in front. You might lower a little bit when you do that and feel like, get this understanding for yourself. Was that the right effort for me, or should I go back somewhere else? And we'll all bring our arms alongside our body and slowly lower to the floor. One cheek or temple to the mat, softly rocking your hips back and forth. Little relief through the sacrum. And even as we move from shape to shape, notice your response to, maybe this is not an area you like to work, maybe this is a challenging area, or maybe you're bored. Take your forehead to the floor. Spiral the inner leg up towards the ceiling. Press into your feet here. Then lift your legs. Then draw your shoulder tops up. Shoulder blades pack in. Reach up. Press through your hands like you're holding something in the palms of your hands towards the ceiling, and then turn your palms towards one another and press an imaginary yoga block between your hands. Keep pressing your pubic bone into the floor. Draw your pubic bone towards your navel. You could bend your knees here and bring the soles of your feet up towards the ceiling. Feel the hamstring engagement. Good. And release. Take one cheek to the mat. And reach, take the other cheek or temple to the mat. Come back to center, forehead on the floor. Last one here. So press your pubic bone into the floor and draw your pubic bone towards your navel. Spiral the inner leg up towards the ceiling. Reach the shoulder tops up. So reach the hands back, pressing into the pubic bone. Lift head and shoulders, lift legs. And then we'll bend the elbows without touching the hands to the floor. Bring your elbows right underneath your shoulders. Turn your toes under, press up through high plank or tabletop. And then if you're in tabletop, turn your feet under, turn your toes under, and press back. Everyone will press back, downward facing dog. Ah, very good. Bend your knees and hover just above the floor and press your hips back. Lengthen through the side body, then begin to slowly straighten your legs in this downward facing dog. Okay, here we go. So now we're going to ask for more effort. And so this is up to you to feel into this for what feels right to you. So in this downward facing dog, drop one forearm to the floor, drop the other forearm to the floor, and find yourself more in a dolphin shape. And then press one hand, the other hand, come back up to downward facing dog. Inhale to rock forward into high dandasana. Exhale, press your hips back, downward facing dog. Drop one forearm to the floor, drop the other forearm to the floor. Press opposite hand first, straighten that arm, then the other. Inhale, come forward, high dandasana. That's the sequence. You could stay right here if this felt better to you. You could stay in downward facing dog, or you can go through the whole thing again. Drop one forearm, the other forearm, pressing into one hand, straighten that arm, and the other. And then inhaling, coming forward, high dandasana. Exhale, press back. You could also take a chaturanga there if you wanted to. Drop one forearm, drop the other forearm. Press into one hand, straighten that arm, then the other. Inhale, come forward. Feel this. Exhale, press back, downward facing dog. Let's do it one more time. Opposite arm down first. And then pressing into that hand, straighten that arm, straighten the other arm. Inhale, come forward, high dandasana. And from here, let's drop our knees to the floor, set our hips back to our heels, and feel the heat that we built move through the body. Taking time to let everything move through the body so that the effort that we've exerted has some place to go, some usefulness, right? Not just effort for effort's sake. Great. Inhale up to all fours. You might want your blocks here, one or two. I'll show with both. Great. And then come up onto your knees and balance on your left knee. Balance on your left knee. And bring your right foot forward. Good. So framing the front foot with either your blocks or your hands, moving back and forth a few times, opening through the front hip flexor and opening the hamstring of the front leg. A few times here. And then come up onto your knee again, proposal pose. Inhale, reach the arms up. Exhale, left hand comes back to the left hamstring. Open up through your side body. Inhale, sweep both arms up. And exhale, right hand back to the left hamstring. Inhale, sweep both arms up. And here you might help yourself with your hands on your front leg, or you have your hands on your hips. Turn your back toes under, press up into a high crescent lunge. Keep the back leg lifted, left leg lifted. Reach your arms up towards the ceiling. Draw your pubic bone towards your navel. And we'll take, you could stay here, or you could take some dips with the back knee. So coming down towards the floor and then straightening back out. Is this the right effort for you? We'll do 5, or maybe you'll do 15. I'll do 5, maybe you'll do 15. And last one, and I'm gonna hold it now. And now I'm gonna draw myself forward. As I draw forward and hinge forward, I straighten the front leg, bring my hands down around my front foot. You might need to replace the back foot, bring it a little closer, and find myself in pyramid. So front leg, right leg, draw the hip back. On your next inhale, bring your back foot to meet your front foot, bending your knees deeply and settling into a forward fold. Take your hands to your shins, reach your crown long, long, long spine. And then exhale, fold, place your hands to the mat, step or jump back to downward facing dog. Bend your knees and hover above the floor. Reach the side bodies long and then press the hips up, straightening the legs, downward facing dog. Inhale to come forward, high Dandasana. And here you might go through Chaturanga or simply set the knees down to the floor and bring your hips back, child's pose. Inhale, sweep your arms up, come up onto your knees, and we'll take the other side. So placing the weight in the opposite knee now, bring the other foot forward. Here we go. With your hands on your blocks, you can move back and forth through your hips here. You might notice that this side feels a little different. Maybe this hamstring is a little tighter and it's going to ask you for a different amount of effort, different quality of effort as you move back and forth. Hands can be framing the front foot on the floor or with the blocks. If you don't own 2 blocks, it's really, really helpful to have those. And then we'll come up to proposal pose this side. Inhale to reach the arms up. Exhale, right hand comes back to the right hamstring. Reach through the opposite side body, left side body. And then inhale, sweep up. And exhale, reach back, opposite hand to opposite hamstring, stretching through the other side body. Inhale to reach up. And exhale now, we'll come up into crescent lunge. So use your hands on your thighs or do it without that. You can try both. Maybe that's the place that you get to practice just a little more effort. Now, reach the hamstring, the back hamstring up towards the ceiling. So straighten that back leg. We start there. Hands can be on your hips. Hands could be in prayer. Want a little more work? Bring the arms out in front. Dip down with the back knee towards the floor, touch the floor, or just a little bit. You decide. How many are you going to do? What's going to be the benefit for you today? Why? What is the motivation for how many you do? I'm not watching you. No one else is comparing. What works for you? What feels right for you? Maybe this side feels a little tighter. Good. At some point, you're going to finish those dips and then bring your hands down around your front foot as you straighten your front leg and hop the back foot a little forward and come into pyramid. Front leg, draw that hip back. So even here, what is the effort in your stretching, in the lengthening of the muscles? We tend to think this is the passive part of yoga. No, this is not passive, this is active. And how much effort are you putting into this part, this shape, this pose? Inhale, bring your back foot to meet your front foot, bending through the knees, draping yourself over your legs in a forward fold. Inhale, hands to shins, reach the crown long and stretch through the spine. Release. Hands to hips, hinge yourself up at the waist. Take your time. Settle in, you might feel a little dizzy. And then open up to the long edge of your mat. Open up towards the long edge of your mat. So feet 3 or so feet apart. Great. Pick up the heels and turn them in. And let's come into that horse pose, goddess pose. So I practiced quite a bit at 3 Ohms up there in Bellingham. And I practiced with one teacher, and this was her favorite pose. We did it every time. And I'd have gone out on these long bike rides, my thighs burning in this pose, and hated it. So how could you take something that is effort and make it less effort, or seemingly effortful like this pose, and make it less effort? Maybe you straighten the legs a little bit more. Maybe you can pulse with this and that feels nice in your body. Maybe you rest the hands on the legs, right? And maybe you use this pose as a portal for something else, getting into the shoulders and the spine. Wherever you are, make sure it's your effort. You own it. Pick up your left heel. Pick up your right heel. Set them back down. On your next inhale, sink a little deeper. On your next exhale, hands to the floor, straighten your legs. And settle, straighten your legs and your back. You come into like a forward fold here. And then bending your knees, inhale, come back into goddess. Now you could keep your hands on your legs here as you move back and forth. Inhale and exhale don't matter, just match your breath with your movement. And then we'll land back in horse pose, goddess pose one more time. Can you sink a little deeper? Does it serve you to sink a little deeper? And then your release is to come straight on up. Take a few breaths here. And then turn the left foot out so it lines up with the long edge of your mat. Turn the right heel out. There we go. Legs are in set up for triangle or warrior 2. Let's reach the arms out to T and reach the left side body. Reach the left side body forward. Now really feel into your feet before you fold over. Press into your left toe mound. Press into the outside of your back heel. And then simply hinge your left hand down to your left shin, right hand to the hip. Press shin into hand and hand back into shin. Can you make this effortless effort. So now right hand's living at the hip, but you could stack your shoulders here. And we're in the triangle pose. Maybe you want more effort today because you want to create some more energy in your body. So bring your left hand out, draw navel up and in, really press into the legs and reach the bottom hand out, engaging the core. Maybe your triangle looks more like this, with the right hand up on the thigh. You own it, you take it. Good. If we're down here, or no matter where we are, let's all bring our right hand to our hip and bend through the front knee and slide the front elbow, the left elbow or forearm onto that knee. Pressing your forearm into your thigh here, the top of your thigh, in this extended side angle. Keep pressing through the back outer heel. Right hand can live at your hip, or you could sweep it over top. Palm facing down. Try not to let this left shoulder hike up into your ear. And from here, we'll sweep the top arm up, press through our feet, come up, and turn both feet to face one another, or to line up parallel to one another. Good. And then we'll go to the other side, so turn the right foot forward, toes facing forward, and the left heel out. Here's our legs for warrior two, or side angle, or triangle. Make sure that your front hip pointer is over your front leg. And then reach the arms out into a T and bring the side body forward. Side body comes forward. Then we're going to come down. Front hand to the shin or the thigh. Press thigh into hand, hand back into thigh. Back hand can live. Left hand can live on the hip here. And you can come into the same place you went to last time. Maybe you're going to stack the shoulders. So the top arm stacks over the bottom arm. Keep pressing into the outer left heel, your back foot. You really want to press the outer heel down. Pay attention to whether that heel is picking up. Front foot gets pressure in the big toe mound at the same time as the outer thigh is spiraling down towards the floor. Maybe you took this position last time with the front arm out. You could go there again, holding, tucking, pulling the core in. And then from here, let's take our left hand back to the hip and bend through the front knee, coming back down into extended side angle here. So press the forearm into the leg and press back with the leg, that isometric work. We want the right shoulder to stay out of the ear. So here now, you could take the top arm up and over, palm faces down towards the floor. Do what feels right for your neck. Maybe your gaze is down at your front foot, or kind of neutral and just looking forward. And maybe you've got enough space in your neck and flexibility in the neck to look up towards your top thumb. That kind of bothers my neck, so I usually just look forward or down. Yeah, good. And then we'll sweep the top arm up, press into the top front foot, come up, turn both feet to be parallel to one another. Take a little movement through your pelvis. And then inhale, feel the side body, the spine reaching towards the heavens, reaching towards the heavens with your crown, and then exhale, fold. And you might bring your hands to a block here. Again, we're noticing effort and right effort, not just in the strong holding poses, but in these lengthening poses as well. Is your tendency to go all the way to the floor because that's what you've seen other people do? But oh my gosh, it doesn't feel right in your body. If you have the flexibility in your hamstrings, you could place your forehead on a block here or on the floor. Or you could just be with your hands underneath your shoulders. Now put some energy into your legs, so make this not just a passive folding over, but press the outside of your heels into the floor and draw muscle to bone here. Let's take right hand right underneath the sternum and then spin open to the left and take a twist in that direction. And then we'll come back to center, take left hand to the floor and spin and twist open in the opposite direction. And come back to center, and then with both hands underneath you, heel toe your feet until you're in sort of a wide squat. You're gonna bend your knees and bring your elbows between your legs, pressing legs into elbows, elbows into legs. Maybe you take a block here underneath your sit bones and have a seat. All good. So here, pressing isometrically one to the other. Can you make this effortless effort? Effortless effort. What if this was, a 5-minute hold, a 20-minute hold? How could you sustain the effort? All right. And then we'll drop to our sit bones and come into a hip balance. So you could be hands behind your legs. And you could have the hands forward, lower legs parallel to the earth and parallel to one another. You could be going for the stretch of the legs, toes about eye level. Draw navel up and in. Again, choosing what works best for you. See if you can draw your low back in here. This is hard on a lot of people, so we can go here because it's not the shape that matters as much as how we enter and what we're learning about ourselves, how we're using the shape to get to that inner being. Right, and then dropping your feet to the floor, come back down onto your back. Just come to the Shavasana shape for one full breath. And then come back to both feet, both legs parallel to one another. Pull your toes back towards your shins, so put a little effort into your legs. So more the Tadasana shape. Press into the back of your head and tuck your shoulder blades underneath your body. And then using just the strength of your hip flexor, pull your right knee in towards your chest. And as you extend that leg towards the ceiling, point your toes. And then as you flex again, flex your toes back towards your shins. So you're pointing and flexing as you extend and bend. And your leg doesn't have to be straight up toward the ceiling. You might have it out a little bit more depending on your hamstring flexibility. And then take the sole of that foot to the floor and inhale bring the left knee in towards your chest, using just the hip flexor. And then same thing, reaching towards the ceiling with the toes extended out, and then pull the toes back towards the shins and pull your knee back in towards your chest. And then go back and forth a few times here. And then take the sole of that foot to the floor. All right, one last little exercise shape. You're going to take the sole of your right foot onto your left thigh. Okay, we'll take the arms in robot position, so upper arms pressing into the floor and fingertips reaching towards the ceiling, and then press into your left foot and lift like a half set de bondu, bridge pose, and slowly release back down. And take your left foot to the floor, right foot to the floor, left foot to the top of your right thigh, and try pressing and lifting this side. Now, always in practice, if there's something that the teacher tells you to do that doesn't feel right in your body, then you listen to the wiser teacher, which is you. Come back down. Here we go. We'll take a twist in both directions, so twist of your choice. So you might take Gomukhasana legs. So whatever the top leg is, you're going to twist in that direction and let the top leg help open up along the bottom, the IT band and the hip of the bottom leg. I'll come back to center here for a second. You could take figure 4. So the top leg, whatever the top leg is, you're going to twist in that direction, drop your knees in that direction, and let the top leg help open up through IT band, top of the thigh. Or you might just stack your knees and twist in one direction. Encouraging the opposite shoulder down towards the floor and encouraging the navel away from the direction of your knees. So you scoop your navel in the opposite direction of your knees. Really use the core to help support you in your twist. So wherever you are, inhale back to center and take the other side. And inhale back to center. Come right back to the center here, and either with the few little sacroiliac exercises we did, or feet flat on the floor, some pelvic tilting, just resettle your pelvis again. You choose what feels kind of nice to you to just come back and neutralize. So yoga has a lot of asymmetry, as does life, right? So that's part of the balancing too. But we want to come back and find this neutrality again, this centering, this balance. And really that's what we're playing with here. And once you've come back and you found that balance, if there's something else you need, like a happy baby or another stretch, twist to the side, or some more core, you're exploring your own perfect effort, then take your legs long, take your arms out to the side, resting in Shavasana. Now, if this position doesn't support you, Well, you can take the soles of your feet to the floor and let your knees come together. This might be a better position for you for resting. And now, here in Shavasana, can you let go of all effort? All effort. Watching the breath. This is David Whyte, one of my favorite poets from Whidbey Island. And I think this is a poetic rendering of the right amount of effort. Just beyond yourself, just beyond yourself, it's where you need to be. Half a step into self forgetting, and the rest restored by what you'll meet. Just beyond yourself, it's where you need to be. Half a step into self forgetting, and the rest restored by what you'll meet. There is a road always beckoning. When you see the two sides of it closing together at that far horizon and deep in the foundation of your own heart at exactly the same time, that's how you'll know it's the road you have to follow. That's how you'll know it's where you have to go. That's how you know you have to go. That's how you know. Just beyond yourself, it's where you need to be. In your Shavasana shape, you could bring hands to heart center. If you'd like to sit up and do that, do so now. Just touching in with perhaps what you are grateful for today, or touching in with having a better understanding of what right effort is for you, what is just beyond yourself, but not too much. What is the effort that you are being asked to bring to the world right now? What's the effort we're all being asked to bring to the world right now in this strange unfolding that we're living in? So may the merit of our practice, may the effort of our practice encourage all beings to unveil the hidden brilliance, right? The hidden brilliance that lies within us all. It is our divine right, that hidden brilliance. And may we shine that brilliance so that others may shine as well. Namaste.